Is your dog still exploding on walks, barking the second another dog appears, locking on, lunging, or making every walk feel tense before you've even left the house? There is a very good chance you're making the same mistake most reactive dog owners make. And the hard truth is this: it is usually not that you don't care enough. It's not that you haven't tried hard enough. It's not even that your dog is impossible. It is the way that you are trying to fix the problem is actually feeding the exact pattern you want gone. So in this video, I want to break down what that mistake actually is, why it keeps getting worse over time, what it looks like in day-to-day life, and what I would focus on first if I wanted real progress with a reactive dog. I'm going to give you a structure you can actually use. Living with a reactive dog is exhausting. It changes how you walk, it changes where you walk, it changes what times you go out, it changes how you feel when you see another dog in the distance. A lot of owners are not just dealing with a training problem, they're dealing with dread, they're scanning the environment, frustrated, feel judged because of that, start looking for quick fixes. That's usually where things go wrong, because when you're stressed, you do what most people do, you focus on the outburst, you focus on the big obvious moment, the barking, the lunging, the meltdown. By the time the outburst happens, you're already too late. That is the part most owners miss. The reaction is not the start of the problem. It is the final stage of a pattern that has already been building. And if all of your training is aimed at that final explosive moment, you're always playing catch up. Let me give you the core idea of this whole video. The biggest mistake reactive dog owners make is this: they keep trying to fix the reaction instead of fixing the pattern that leads to the reaction. That is the mistake. They wait till their dog is staring, loading, getting tense, shutting off, breathing differently, already halfway gone mentally, and then they try to do it right there. And when that doesn't work, they feel like nothing helps. But think about it logically. Dog is already locked in, emotionally escalated, and rehearse the same sequence over and over again. Why would that be the ideal moment to teach anything? It's not. And I think this is where a lot of owners accidentally keep the problem alive, because every walk becomes reactive dog roulette. You head out with no real plan, you hope today goes better, a trigger appears, your dog starts building, you feel yourself tense up, you shorten the lead, you start talking more, you start trying random things, treats sometimes come out too late, corrections happen too late, movement happens too late. Then the dog reacts, you both survive it, and then tomorrow the exact same sequence happens again. That's rehearsal. That's not progress. And this is why I say many owners are not dealing one reaction problem. They're dealing with a rehearsed cycle. The dog rehearses scanning, the dog rehearses loading, the dog rehearses emotional escalation, the dog rehearses the explosion, and the owner rehearses panic, late timing, inconsistency, and damage control. That's why it feels like things are getting worse. Because in a lot of cases, they are. Not because your dog wakes up wanting to make your life harder, but because repetition builds patterns. And now let me make this even clearer. A reactive episode is not just one moment. It's usually a chain. First your dog notices something, then your dog becomes interested, then your dog becomes more fixed, then the arousal climbs, then options start disappearing, then the reaction happens. Most owners only recognize stage 6. That's the problem. Because if you only notice stage 6, you miss all the stages where you still had influence. That's why I push owners to stop obsessing over the visible explosion and start getting much more honest about what's happening before it. Ask yourself this: does your dog start changing the second they leave the house? Do they start scanning early? Do they drag you around corners? Do they struggle to disengage from normal things? Do they already feel mentally overwhelmed before the trigger even appears? Do you only start trying to train when things are obviously going wrong? Because if that's the case, the reaction is not random, it's predictable. And predictable problems need structure, not hope. This is also the point where I want to challenge the owners here all the time. A lot of people are told to just distract their dog, just manage it better in the moment, just stay calm, just direct, just bring treats, and just create distance. Now let me be clear, some of those things absolutely matter, but when people hear them without context, they turn to random tools instead of a system. And random tools do not build reliable change. And if your plan is to try and pull out a strategy after the dog is already cooked, that's not a system. That's firefighting. And a lot of reactive owners live in permanent firefighting mode. That's exhausting for them, and it's unhelpful for your dog. What you actually need is much clearer order of operation. You need to know what you're preventing. You need to know what you're building. You need to know what state your dog needs to be in to learn. You need to know what your job is before the trigger, not just during it. Know what progress really looks like, because this is another place people get stuck. They think progress means the dog magically stops reacting overnight. No, real progress usually looks like this. The dog notices earlier and recovers faster. Your dog can disengage sooner. Your dog needs less handling. Dog stays in thinking mode longer. The owner gets better at seeing the build up. Whole situation feels less chaotic. That's progress. And if you're ignoring those markers because you're only looking for perfection, you'll miss the improvement that actually matters. So what should you do instead? If I was looking at a reactive dog and I wanted to simplify this right down, I would focus on 4 things first. The first is management, not management as avoidance forever. Management is stopping the dog from rehearsing the same mess every single day. That means being smarter about where you walk, when you walk, how much freedom the dog has in certain environments, how close you're getting to triggers, whether you're constantly putting the dog in situations they cannot cope with. The second is engagement. I want the dog understanding that you still exist before the world takes over, not after they've mentally left the building. Before that, can your dog check in? Can they respond to simple guidance? Can they move with you? Can they come out of fixation earlier? Because if you don't have those pieces outside the big trigger moments, trying to withdraw from a bank account you've never actually deposited into. Third is handler clarity. That matters more than a lot of owners realize. Your timing, your body language, your movement, your consistency, your emotional state, and the way you handle the lead or shape the picture. If you get frantic when a trigger appears, your dog feels it. You go vague, your dog feels it. And one day you mean something, and the next day you don't. Your dog feels it. And the fourth is exposure with structure. Not chaotic exposure, not flooding, not hoping the dog gets used to it. Structured exposure. Clear distances, clear goals, clear criteria, clear exits. That's what starts making the work cleaner. I want to say something else that might annoy some people, but it needs saying. A lot of reactive dogs are not failing because their owner doesn't know enough. Random techniques. There's no pattern to the work. It's too emotional, too inconsistent, too last minute, too dependent on whatever happens that day. One good walk means everything's working. One bad walk means nothing's happening. One bad walk means nothing is working. That is not how you build a dog through a difficult issue. You need a repeatable process, even if it's simple. This process might sound like this. Today I'm walking at a quieter time. My goal is not to improve anything. Today I'm watching the dog, not waiting for disaster. Today I'm rewarding check-ins. Today I'm leaving earlier instead of later. Today I'm keeping the dog in a state where they can still take information. That sounds basic, but that's where so many owners change the game. They stop treating every walk like a test and start treating it like training. And that shift alone is huge. If you take nothing else from this video, take this. The reaction is the loud part. It's not the important part. The important part is everything leading into it. That is where your work is. That's where your timing is. That's where your influence is. And when owners finally start seeing that clearly, they usually feel 2 things. First, relief, because the problem makes more sense. And second, responsibility, because now you can no longer pretend the answer is just waiting for the dog to be different. You have to get more deliberate. You have to get cleaner. You have to stop improvising. And I don't say that to make people feel bad. I say it because it's empowering. A dog that is rehearsing reactivity can learn a different pattern. Only if someone starts creating it. Only somebody. Now, I also want to be realistic. Some dogs need more help than an internet video can give. Some dogs have a long reinforcement history. Some dogs have more intensity. Some dogs have bite risk. Some owners are genuinely in over their heads. That does not mean the dog is hopeless. It means the situation deserves a proper plan. One of the worst things you can do when you're overwhelmed is keep collecting random tips from 10 different people and trying a different one every week. That just creates more noise. What most owners need, fewer tips and more order, a clearer picture of what matters first, a better understanding of timing, more honest read on their dog, and actually stick to. So if your dog is still reactive and you feel like you're trying everything, but nothing is really changing, start here. Stop asking only how to interpret the explosion. Start asking what pattern is feeding it. Stop waiting till the dog is gone. Start learning to work earlier. Stop measuring success only by whether your dog reacted. Start measuring whether your dog stayed more available, recovered faster, and needed less intervention. This is how it starts changing. If you have a guide, checklist, or consultation, this is where you would send them. If you want help with your own dog and you're tired of guessing, and if Auckland dog owners need help, there is a way to work with me below. And if this video helped, then make sure you subscribe to my page, because I'll go into what to do before the reaction even happens, which is where most of the real work actually lies. Your dog's not getting stuck because they're trying to ruin your walk. They're getting stuck in a pattern, and patterns can be changed. But only when you stop reacting to the loudest moment and start working on everything that builds it.